Alright, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. It's been about a year since I made one of these, primarily because I haven't done a ton to the car, and I don't know, I didn't really want to film, but I've been getting so many comments from people, especially on my Miata videos, saying that I need to continue and they want to see more content. So that kind of motivated me to be like, you know what, I'm gonna pick up the camera, I'm gonna actually document some of this stuff, especially since I have such a big project planned. What I'm going to be working on in this video is something that I never thought that I'd be able to really afford, but I was able to save enough money and decided to pull the trigger on air suspension for my 04 Miata. As you can see behind me, I got my compressor and my tank here. I went with D2 air struts and the Vera basic management kit. So basically what that means is there's no electronic management. It's just two pressure switches for front and rear and a pressure gauge to tell me how much PSI is in the system, basically. Super simple setup compared to like the airlift stuff or any other electronic management where you're setting the preset ride heights and all that. While that is super nice and I'm sure I would love to have it, I've never had air suspension on a car, so I just figured I'll start with the most basic, and if I want to upgrade over time, then I'll do that. But for now, I think this is going to do what I want it to do. Also, it's a lot cheaper than getting the full electronic management. Another reason I wanted to make this video is because after the little research that I have done, I couldn't seem to find any videos bagging a Miata. So I'm gonna try to film as much as I can. This is definitely gonna be filmed over multiple days. I have no idea how long this is actually gonna take me to complete, but thankfully I have another car that I could take to work, so this thing could be out of commission for a little bit. So yeah, I guess I'll show you what I got and then kind of plans from here, and then we'll jump into the install. So I'll give you guys a peek at these D2 air struts. Came packaged really nicely. So here's the actual strut itself. Quality seems really solid. Got the ride height adjustment on the threads here, as well as the bag, obviously. And then I believe these are 16-way dampening adjustments. I got these over the Trueheart, the cheaper Trueheart struts for that reason, just to have a little more adjustability on them. Behind the air struts here, we got our tank compressor and the management from Vera. So we got, I'm not sure what size tank it is, but it's like a brushed aluminum finish, which I think looks really cool. Will kind of go well with all the interior bits I have in my car, as well as this chrome Vi-Air compressor. It all came mounted on this like plastic type board, which I originally thought would be perfect and I could just slap it in my trunk. But my trunk is nowhere near level, I'm finding, so the thing wobbles all over the place, and I'm gonna go ahead and actually do some custom mounts to make it look a little cleaner and give me some more space in the trunk. And last but not least, we got our gauge and pressure switches, like I was saying. So it's got, focus, 2 needles in there in the gauge so you can see front and rear, and then obviously we got the 2 switches to the right there. There's no real place to mount this in my car that's super accessible, and I didn't want to make the console look like tacky, just like drilled in anywhere. So I went ahead and made this little panel thing. Right now I just wrapped it in vinyl, but I'm actually gonna wrap this in like a suede Alcantara type material. And then let me set you down real quick. So it's gonna look something like this when it's all mounted to the panel. I'm gonna get some cool little hardware to kind of screw this thing in, and then I think it'll look really professional when it's wrapped in that kind of suede material. But I'm actually gonna be putting this panel inside my glove box. So I got my glove box here. I'm gonna go ahead and cut a little rectangle in the left corner there to run the lines through. And then when the glove box is closed, you wouldn't even know that these secret little switches are there. So I think it's gonna turn out pretty sweet. As far as the trunk setup goes, I'll show you what the stock trunk looks like on my Miata. So at first glance, it looks fairly flat, but when you look like under the carpet, you can see I got the spare tire under there, and that's pretty lumpy, so it doesn't lay quite flat. So I'm actually gonna have to kind of lay it out in a custom fashion, which I think it'll look cooler first of all, and I'll have more space to like put groceries or random other stuff that you use the trunk for. Let me set the camera down so I actually mock it up and show you what I'm thinking. So this is what I was kind of thinking as far as layout. Still have the tank kind of in the back section right there, and then mount the compressor. Still got the cubby hole right here, so I could still have access to that. There's like hard metal right under this, so there's a nice place to mount it. And then I'm gonna have to figure out how to mount this tank, but as far as layout goes, I think it's gonna be something like that. Hopefully still have some access to my spare tire under there, as well as the battery in the back corner. So I probably won't actually start installing the struts and running the lines for a little bit until I work out all the details. Like I showed you that little panel for my gauge. And then I gotta figure out how I'm gonna mount everything in the trunk exactly. So I think I'm gonna start by taking the carpet out, using that as a template to cut some wood, and then figuring out how I'm gonna mount everything. That way it's all in the right spot and I can start running the lines confidently, knowing that nothing's gonna move around. So I think I'm gonna work out those small details first before I kind of jump into just putting the struts on and trying to run the lines. So I think today I'm gonna run over to Home Depot, see what they got for kind of that thinner wood, see what they got for the machine screws for my little panel face there, kind of go from there and keep working through the process. So like I said, this is gonna take a few days minimum. It's probably gonna take a week or so, just because I'm gonna go through things slow, but I'll try to document everything along the way, so hope you guys enjoy it. Just got back from Home Depot, picked up a couple things. I got some hardware for the gauge, and then I also picked up some kind of like fiber board, I don't know what you want to call it. On this side it's just like the whatever, and then on that side is like whiteboard material. But this has a little flex and it's kind of like what's in the trunk already, so I think this will end up working pretty decent. So what I'm gonna do with that board is I'm gonna take the carpet out of the trunk, put it onto the board and just kind of outline it, do a little tracing around it, and then that'll give me a good template starter point for something that's gonna fit in the trunk. So this bottom section is gonna not extend quite this far, but I don't think it'll even fit like that in the trunk anyway, and I'll show you why. So when you look in the trunk here, the part that kind of goes around the tire, you can see this all kind of bumps out right here, and then it goes way in. Probably can't tell. I don't think it's gonna be a problem, but this is gonna be my little tester, see if it works. If not, I'll try to come up with a different solution. But let me show you the hardware I got also. So here are our options. On the right is a black socket cap screw, and then on the left is a stainless Phillips head. I thought originally the stainless was gonna look better, but I think the design of the socket cap outweighs it for me. So I'm hedging towards these on the right, but let me know what you guys think. For now, I think I'm gonna get started with the carpeting project, go ahead and make that outline and make the cut with the jigsaw. So there's our tracing. I'm gonna go ahead and take this out back and cut her up. And of course, I got these parts when there's like a heat wave in California. It's gonna be like 100 degrees this week, so we gonna be sweating. So there's the finished piece, at least for my first cut. We'll see how it fits in the car. I went around the edges with just this half round file guy right here, just to kind of smooth it up, make it a little prettier, but I don't know if it's even gonna fit yet, so I'm gonna go test fit it in the trunk. Holy shit, dude. It actually fits so good. There we go. So you can probably see what I was talking about, where the tire kind of arches down. It almost fits way better with that straight line across there. So obviously this is not level still, but what I'm gonna do, actually I'll show you an example of how they do it in the factory. On the back side of this, you'll notice these foam pieces. And they use that foam to level it out, because if it was just flat, it would rock back and forth like my newly cut out thing does. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna buy foam similar to that and try to put it on all of the low spots or high spots, however you wanna call them. And hopefully that should be enough to kind of level it out. After looking at my trunk and kind of reassessing a bit, I think I've decided I'm just gonna go ahead and ditch the spare tire. I took it out just to see how much more level it would make that piece of wood, and it gives me a perfectly flat surface. And the mounting point for the spare tire has like a little bolt and like a disc thing. Actually, let me show it to you. If you look in the trunk here, you can see that's where the spare tire went. And right in the middle is what I'm talking about. There's a big bolt with that metal disc around it. So I'm thinking if I put a nut on the threading of that bolt and then kind of adjust the height where I want it, I could use that metal disc as a support leg for my wood that's gonna go sit right over the top of this. It also opens up a lot more space and options to hide the compressor. I've seen people hide it in this cubby over there, like take the cubby out and put it there, but I kind of like the idea of keeping that cubby. I put the compressor in here, right in the bottom section of this wheel well thing, and it fits almost perfectly, and then I could just route it to the tank back here, and I'd still have a ton of room to still put stuff, groceries, whatever, and kind of have more of a usable trunk. I think I've reached a pretty good stopping point for today. I definitely got the trunk set up a little more dialed in my head now. More confident moving forward and actually mounting stuff here pretty soon. Stoked with the new hardware I got for that gauge panel. I think that's gonna look really cool. And I also ordered some micro suede kind of Alcantara looking material to wrap this thing in. So I think that's gonna look super pro, and I'm just looking forward to all the little details on this project. And I cannot wait to see this thing freaking laid out, flat on the ground, gonna look extra spicy, and I'm really pumped for it. So I hope you guys are looking forward to the content to come, because I got a lot of work ahead of me, and yeah, I'm feeling inspired to make more videos for you guys. So thank you guys so much for watching. I'll catch you on the flippity flop. Peace.